Hello and welcome, Miami Hurricanes fans. Brian Smith here once again, publisher at Fan Nation's All Hurricanes. And today I'm going to discuss who I think will be the most likely candidates from the defensive players in the freshman class to make a significant impact from game number one all the way through the season. But it really is a culmination of all the things I've learned about these guys. We're going to mostly focus on game number one. So let's get started. The four guys that I kind of think have the best chance because they're playing a position they're familiar with and they're just really good players, they fit the scheme, etc., will be the following guys. Keep in mind that this can change. Somebody gets hurt, players emerge, different things happen in freshman fall camps all across the country. So what I'm saying here is an early projection. The Hurricanes have only been through about 1 week of practice. Does that mean they're totally ready and all this? Of course not. No freshman is ready after a week. Even Bo Jackson back in the day wasn't ready because you still have so many other things to learn with the playbook and whatnot. But Damari Brown, the corner out of American Heritage, he's really well schooled coming out of that great program. I think he has the length, the size, etc., to play early. Raul Papa Aguirre, he's formerly from South Florida, but moved up to Georgia, played a really big role in his high school team's program the last several years. He's a leader. He can play either inside linebacker spot, and Miami needs depth there. I think he has a chance to challenge at some point this year, and I think he'll actually play some reps game one. And I haven't even inquired about him. I'm just saying that because I know about him. I've met him, and I'll get into that here in a minute. The other two are probably names you expected me to say on this list, Jayden Wayne and Rueben Bain Jr. Those two are tremendous pass rushers, natural defensive ends. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with going with the obvious. Sometimes it's right in front of your face. Go ahead and select it. Those are great options. So let's break it down 1 through 4. I don't really have a specific order to start, but I want to give you a little background why I picked those 4. I could have picked Malik Bryant, some other guys, and I'll talk a little bit about that too. Number 1, with Damari, I think he'll be more polished than a lot of guys. If you look at the track record at American Heritage over the last, say, 10 plus years, how many of those guys that played corner that were mainstays that started 2 years or more failed? Like just were flat out duds at the next level. Just based on that alone, and the answer, I can't think of one. There might be one that I'm unaware of. But based on that, why in the world would I not at least consider Damari Brown? His brother is Devontae, in case you forgot. He's probably going to start, and I think he's backing him up, which is ironic. So when Devontae leaves, his brother will take over. So the power in the name will stay the same at the University of Miami. He is a player, though, that has the size and the physical nature, having seen him play multiple times, that I think can really play the run just as well as the pass, and playing the run and to be honest, the screen game, which is even worse a lot of times for young corners, because if you make a mistake, it can be a touchdown. I think he's a little bit ahead of most kids, and I think that will allow the entire Miami staff, not just D, but O. They talk about freshmen. Hey, I liked what this guy did for you, et cetera, when we ran this, et cetera. I would bet money that Damari would be one of the kids that by the end of fall camp, I'm not saying it's happened yet, that is going to at least step up and be competitive, and he's going to get reps in game one. They've got some other good players, like Jaden Davis, some of these guys that came in. It's not going to be easy. To Corey Couch, all these different guys, and of course, Daryl Porter Jr., et cetera. But they have cornerback talent now, and Stafford's another kid, a guy I know well. I just think he needs to add a little weight, but they have plenty of corner depth. That's the biggest thing to take away, but I'm just having fun with the freshmen here. So I think Damari will play pretty early. I'm just curious which spot. I don't know the answer to this. I'm not even going to guess. Outside corner, is he going to play boundary? Is he going to play nickel? Or are they going to move him around? How are they going to use him? I have no idea, but I think he's going to play quite a bit. 2, this is one of my favorite guys that I've ever interviewed. When I was at Under Armour in Georgia earlier this year, I see Raul. And I'm like, hey, he had Miami toboggan on and everything. I started talking to him. I interviewed him. He's one of the coolest guys I've ever been around. Just super engaging, very positive young man, and just fun personality from start to finish. Kind of guy you root for, honestly. And I think he's going to do well for a number of reasons. But let's start with number 1. He just loves physicality. When I was interviewing him, I don't know how many times he brought up like making tackles, like breaking it down, just minute sections of how you get to the ball carrier in a hurry and what you do to bring him to the ground. Like, he loves physicality, but he also loves the technique of doing it, which I hardly ever hear a high school kid or even a college kid talk about. So he's intellectual too. He understands that tackling some of these guys, especially in space, takes skill. I mentioned being polished with Damari. I'm not saying Raul is the next, Butkus Award winner for the Canes, but he has the right mentality to end up there, being an All-American. Do I think he will be great? That depends. This year, I think he's going to be more special teams, and he'll get into the game against Miami of Ohio because I think they'll smother them. But by the end of this year, you're going to hear his name a lot. I just think the beginning will be the game against Miami of Ohio. Maybe I'm wrong. 3, this is the one that most people want to pick just because he's a local guy, and so many people that are Miami fans know a lot about him because he played at Central. And it's somebody I like a lot too, and I know him well, Rueben Bain Jr. Tremendous edge rusher. Tremendous. I don't give a rat's you-know-what about his quote-unquote measurables. He told me he was right around 270 at the end of the spring game. I interviewed him right after the spring game, and he didn't look really much different than when he was 255. He put on good weight. I'm guessing he's 6'2" at the most, but I don't care about the measurables because he gets to the quarterback. He makes the offensive lineman miss and miss and miss and miss. He just does it. I don't care beyond that. He's just an easy pick. And based on what Alex Dono said in his recent report that was published at All Hurricanes, why would I think that's going to change in the games? He's going to play this year. Does he come out right away and have a great game? I have no idea. I'm not sure if they're going to, because they got plenty of pass rush. That's one thing Miami certainly does not lack. They had 37 sacks last year. That was pretty darn good. I believe they'll be really good at rushing the passer again, but Bain will be part of it. If I had to guess, I'll say he'll have 4 or 5 sacks this year at the least because he's just that good at it. The other player that is unique, and I think he fits the profile as much, if not better, than any freshman for his specific position that the Hurricanes signed on offense or defense, is Jayden Wayne. Another defensive end, but he's built completely different than Ruben. Very long kid. He's the prototypical NFL style, if you will, defensive end. He's listed at 6'6", so you got to figure he's at least 6'4.5", 6'5". Yeah, I know he has long arms, and he's a kid that just finds a way to get to the backfield. He can long arm a guy. He can slap rip. He can do whatever you want. He's been trained. He went to IMG. And I think he's going to play the run better than most freshmen because of his frame. He has the ability to hold the edge on the strong side, and he could probably play weak. I'm kind of curious if they're going to play him both or if they're just going to really centralize his efforts to playing one side of the field or the other, how they're going to do it. Lance Guidry has a very unique defense, like a lot of guys now, moving parts, 3-man line, 4-man line are possibilities. I have no idea what they're using right now for fall camp. I haven't been down yet. I've been letting Alex go to the practices and let him sweat it out in the heat down there. I've got enough here in Central Florida, but I'm pretty sure that Jayden's going to be a factor. I just think it'll be different than what it is with Ruben. I'm not saying he can't rush the passer because he can. I just think he's the most balanced of all the freshmen they signed, talent-wise, polish, frame, everything, like the complete package for a freshman to contribute. The easiest pick to, contribute at least significantly is Jayden. On either side of the ball, and Chris Francis, etc. He's really skilled in those things when you combine it with the coaching he got before and during his time at IMG to what you see on film. I mean, he is a really, really good football player. So I think all of them have a chance to come out and make noise, but it's going to be fun. I did a tweet about those 4 players off the All Hurricanes Twitter handle. Give it a look, make your vote. I also did one on offense as well. It's pretty fun. So I'm just trying to have some fun with all these different players that are Miami brought in. Talk a little bit about the transfers and stuff, because fall camp is a grind. Like the first week, I really don't care much about it because they just get into pads at the end, and it's not a huge deal. But now that they're all the way to the end of the first week and they're kind of getting to that second level of fall camp, this week coming up is the most important one there is. So guys that I just mentioned, like Rueben Bain, Jayden Wayne, Damari Brown, They all have to make their mark in what they're doing, and the same with Raul Aguirre. They have to make a move now because they'll slowly start to transition to quote unquote game prep. Now, it may not be officially, but the coaches make their mind. They can lie all they want. They kind of have their depth chart set in some capacity with a lot of spots by the end of week 2. And if that's not the case, then either you've got a ton of talent or you've got some problems. It's usually the latter of those two, depending on the team and the year. But Miami, I think, might actually be the former because of all the transfers and the freshmen like this. It's going to be hard to keep a guy like Jayden Wayne off the field. How could it not be? How could it not be hard to keep Damari Brown off the field? I'm just using those two as an example. 3rd and 6, if Rueben Bain is rested, yeah, he's a good option. You need somebody to blitz the quarterback from the linebacker spot? Yeah, Aguirre is a really good option. These are all players that I think can make a significant impact, and it helps the overall depth from game 1. Remember how hot it is in South Florida for these games. It's brutal. From game 1 on, it is a grind to recover, practice it over and over, and then go play again. If you've got freshmen, those games at the end of last year where Miami's defense was just obliterated, especially the Pittsburgh game when they gave up 7.1 yards per carry, you eliminate that early in the year by having depth. These guys are a huge, huge part of that. So thank you for listening to this podcast. Please hit that notification bell. Please share and like it. Make sure you subscribe. And above all else, make sure that you comment. If you have something to say about Ruben or one of the other players, let it rip. I'm here to talk about it. I love discussing how freshmen can make an impact because, quite frankly, it's anyone's opinion. I'm just one guy. I cover it, obviously, but it doesn't mean that I'm right, and it doesn't mean that you're not right. So let's hear what you have to say. Everybody have a great day, and thank you very much.